Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's episode of Modesty's Property Corner. This is episode number 6, and today it's coming rather later than we would have loved it to, but it's still better late than never. We are focusing on January 2022 UK property market roundup. So we're going to be looking at some news articles, some information, some updates, some knowledge and information that were available as at January. Basically, what's really happened in the UK property market in general. We're just going to go around and see what pieces of information that will be useful to you. We put them together in this package and serve them to you hot, like you always get it here. So you don't need to do anything, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the information that is going to be flowing from here, because this is what we're here for: educating you, updating you, informing you, and learning from you as well, because we learn from each other every day. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being part of today's episode. I remain your man, Ikenna Umezudike. Modesty Property Consultants is my business, it's my company, and this is how we reach out to our clients, to our friends, and to our fans, by making sure you are up to date with every property information as relates to UK property market. Okay, so let's dive straight into this today's topic. It's not really a topic, it's just gathering bits and bits here and there and making them available to you today. Now we're going to start with a landmark court judgment that basically is going to make a whole lot of difference in the rental world in the UK. I mean, not the whole world. I don't mean the global rental market. I mean with landlords, especially corporate landlords and estate agents. So this news article, we picked it up from Landlord Zone, where a landmark Court of Appeal judgment is going to have far-reaching consequences on, serving Section 8 and even notice to quit that landlords and agents, especially corporate landlords, serve their tenants. So what happened here was, this concerns Northwood estate agents up in Solihull, I think in Birmingham. They served their the tenants there a notice to quit the property on behalf of the landlord, obviously. And then this tenant challenged not just the notice, the Section 8 notice, but also they challenged the deposit certificate. What was the reason for the challenge? They said the documents were not signed by the appropriate people, and it was neither signed by by authorized signatories, and it wasn't signed by the director of the company or the director of the company in front of a witness. So they said it was invalid, it was null and void, they were not going to honor it. And this case went up to the Court of Appeal. And the judge in the court, the judge ruled in favor of the estate agents, to say that the documents were duly signed because they were signed by an employee of the company acting in the corporate capacity of the estate agency, which means that notice stands and the tenants will have to quit the property. Now the tenants, they have also asked for permission to take the case to the Supreme Court, and it's widely believed that the Court of Appeal would deny that permission for them to take it to Supreme Court, because the Court of Appeal, the judge simply said, listen, it is the job of the lawmakers, the parliamentarians, to make laws that will protect tenants. It's not for lawyers and solicitors to try and manufacture some kind of loophole to evade or to avoid what they are supposed to do. When you're served a Section 8 notice, you are expected to abide by it and leave the property and quit the property. Instead, they were looking for loopholes and decided to challenge the case because of the signatories. So it was just a technical loophole they were looking for. They were asking the people who signed these documents are not the people who are supposed to sign it. The document was actually signed by, a manager or an employee of the business acting in the corporate capacity of that business. Now, what are the implications of this? What this means is that for corporate landlords, because this has been a gray area for corporate landlords and estate agents, this has been a gray area for some time now about who should sign a Section 8 or who should sign a Section 21, which is, a notice to quit a property or to hand a property over to the agent or to the landlord. And a lot of people have been thinking, if not the director or other authorized employees of the business. So who is actually an authorized employee of the business? And that's what this case has clarified. So somebody acting in the corporate capacity of that agency, of that business, or a corporate landlord can actually sign the document and it will stand. So if this case didn't go through, there would have been barrage of appeals from even currently ongoing Section 8 or notice to quit or even deposit certificates. So various documents that should be carrying weight or the weight of the agency would have been challenged if this had gone through. There will be endless challenges of documents signed by estate agencies, especially when it involves kicking tenants out of a property. So that's the significance of this ruling. The significance of this judgment is that estate agents and corporate landlords can now act with a lot more clarity around this area and can operate their businesses with a lot more ease, because now everyone understands what that is. But hey, it doesn't mean that, say, if you're a tea lady in an estate agency business, then you are authorized to sign official documents and then it stands. It has to be somebody who is acting in a corporate capacity of the estate agency for that document to stand. Okay, so that's the first one. The second updates that we want to bring to you today centers around Rightmove's quarterly rental report. Rightmove, as we all know, is the biggest property portal in the UK, and they produce the quarterly rental reports, and it's pretty it's pretty alarming and scary, especially for people who are renting. So this report says and shows that rents have risen at their fastest rates in the UK ever. So currently, according to Rightmove, the average asking rents now, the average asking rent now across the UK, the average is £1,068. The average asking rent is £1,068. That is pretty alarming. Okay, and this is not even in London. This is for areas that are outside of London. So this is the fastest rate rents have risen ever, and this is just 10% up from 1 year ago. Remember, we are focusing on news and updates that as at January. So 1 year ago, as at January, rents have gone up by as much as 10%, the asking price, and these are for areas outside of London. So what does this come down to? Rightmove puts this down to the imbalance between the supply and demand for rental properties. So that imbalance means there is so much demand for rental properties, there is so little supply for rental properties in the market. And as long as that imbalance remains, nobody sees this trend changing anytime soon, because that means that rents have now risen faster than house prices in all but 3 regions of the UK. Rents have risen faster than house prices in all but 3 regions of the UK. And the 3 regions of the UK that are exempt from this statistic are East Midlands, South West, and South East. Those are the only 3 regions in the UK where rents have not risen faster than house prices. Other regions of the UK have experienced, rental increase rising faster than house prices. So areas with the highest UK rental increases are, listen to this, Wales. Wales have seen rents rise by more than 12% for from last year to as of January 2022, 1 year ago. Northwest have also seen rents increase by more than 12%. Southwest have also seen rents increase by more than 11%. I mean, these are pretty astonishing numbers, and it tells you nothing more than there is a rental crisis in the UK, and nobody seems to be paying attention to these things. And it's the same thing that we're seeing even in our estate agency. There's so much demand for rental properties, but so little supply for rental properties. The imbalance is there. So the government they've got their hands full, here. They've got a lot of work to do to address this imbalance. And there is no other way to address this imbalance apart from increasing stock, rental stock. And to increase rental stock, you have to really induce landlords. You have to really encourage landlords, people who buy to let, people who buy their properties for investment purposes. If you do not induce them and you don't, mobilize them, if they're not encouraged to invest in rental properties, we are going to continue to have this short. Even councils are struggling to find properties to put people in. People who are looking for council properties, council have got so many people on their waiting list that they are struggling for properties to put them up. So there's a rental crisis in the UK, and it's really amazing and astonishing that the government are pretending like this is normal. This is not normal. So Rightmove have also revealed that this year rental prices have the asking price for rental properties is going to be like there'll be 5% increase in asking rent for 2022. That's what Rightmove projection is, that rent is going to go by 5%, or the asking rent is going to go by 5% in 2022, simply because this imbalance still hasn't been addressed. And unless it is addressed, I'm afraid the trend is on the way up. Now, to put this into perspective, total rental demand in the last year have gone up by 32%. Okay? But the total rental property supply in the same period have dropped by 51%. 51% drop as against 32% rise. So more and more people are wanting to rent, and less properties are becoming available for rent. So the few properties that are on the market are being snapped up quickly by tenants who are desperate and who are willing to pay even whatever it takes just to have a roof over their heads. So the average time it now takes to rent a property that is on the market is just 17 days. So on average, within 17 days, rental properties that come on the market are being snapped up by renters. So even with this, a lot of land, it just tells that the rental market is so strong at the moment that it's almost very tempting and very enticing for landlords. And a lot of landlords will be thinking, wow, this is a very good time to go into rental properties, especially as Rightmove have projected that rental yields will average 5.5% in 2022, and it's averaged 5.5% since 2016. In the last 1 year, it's averaged 5.5% on average, which is astonishing. Is the highest it's been since 2016, and the trend is bound to continue even in 2022. So there's obviously enormous opportunity in the rental markets for landlords who wish to go into rental properties. But hey, you've got to understand where to strike the balance between good long-term tenants and maximizing the yield on a property. Because sometimes as a landlord, you might get greedy, put up the rents beyond what the renters can afford, and they might just grab it, pay it for a few months, and then they start owing you. So you've got to find where to strike the balance. It's better to get a good long-term tenant, and who can afford to pay what is fair as per the market rate and have that business long term than just, put up rent, get tenants who will pay the rents for a few months and then they start struggling. Okay, let's look at a third update here for now. If you have been, anybody who have been looking for property investment or investment opportunities, you would have come across certain investments on sales materials that are enticing you with lots and lots of returns, huge returns. Now listen to this news. We picked up this news from Landlord Zone as well, and it says that a dodgy property investment company is being wound up by the insolvency service and the directors are being probed for a missing £800,000. So what happened here is a company named X-Mount Construction Limited based in North London. They floated, this investment bond, property investment bonds, and promised prospective investors mouth-watering returns of 9.12% for their 3-year bond and 10.35% for their 5-year bonds. And investors saw this as very attractive and then went in, full time. And they started paying money and buying up those bonds, and they started issuing them those bonds. So between 2018 and 2019, between March 2018 and July 2019, this company collected over £1 million from prospective investors. All right, and when the investors did not see or hear anything as per their investments, they raised an alarm, and then the probe started. The insolvency service now realized that when they looked at the accounts and the financial transactions of this company, they could not trace any meaningful, tangible property investment activity that has gone on. Rather, what they saw was that the directors of this company have withdrawn over £800,000 from the funds in the company, and they have made several other payments to third parties as well. Not a penny had gone into property investment, and these guys took over £1 million from investors to invest in properties and give them a return of 9% and 10% respectively. So as at the time of this investigation, it was only one director that was registered as a director on that company, and 5 other directors have resigned as directors from that company. So basically the company is now going through a winding up service. They will be wound up, and the directors might probably be investigated or even jailed because they have not even cooperated with the authorities during in the course of that investigation. So you would ask, but how can this kind of thing happen? This is pure fraud. It's fraud. There's nothing more. There's no other way to explain it than to say it is pure fraud. This is a fraudulent, and then you'll be asking, why is this allowed to happen? How does this continue to happen in a developed economy like the UK? That tells you that fraud happens everywhere. So if you are an investor, a prospective investor, and looking to invest, say, in property bonds, and do your due diligence. Request for reports, verifiable reports. Okay? Request for verifiable reports of the company that you want to invest in. Don't just take the returns on face value. Don't be enticed by the returns, because if the returns look too good or they sound too good, they probably are. These guys promised prospective investors 9% on a 3-year bond, 10.35% on a 5-year bond. But there was no plan, nothing at all on the table for the investors. So they just took the money and they disappeared. So for prospective investors, they have lost money. But for you, this is a lesson that before you go and invest in any of these unregulated property bonds or property investments being floated here, there are so many of them abound. If you go on the internet, if you go on social media, you see various advertisements, and these guys pump in so much money into marketing and adverts. You will not believe the insane amount they spend on marketing. Their brochures are so shiny, their marketing is so spot on. And that is simply because they know that the vulnerable people are the ones who will just go head in without any investigation. So do your due diligence, and if possible, only deal with regulated companies. Companies that have FCA regulations or FCA regulated. Unless you know your stuff and you know your worth and you're very, very experienced, beware, because these unregulated property investment bonds, they really, really carry a high risk. So if they are not regulated, if the company is not regulated by the FCA, please beware while investing with them, so that you don't end up like this set of people. Okay, the next one here is, one thing we like, especially in the UK here, is we like blaming people. I mean, for every incident, the question is, who is to blame? The blame game in this UK, and the desire and the excitement about blaming is almost infectious. So I'm going to give you a reason to blame somebody now. I mean, if you're looking for somebody to blame, I'm going to give you a reason to blame someone. I'm going to give you somebody to blame. Okay? Now, if you have been looking for a detached property to buy, and you've been priced out of the market, and it's been insane, and you've been unable to find a suitable detached property to buy that's within your budget, and you've discovered that all detached properties you've been going for, the price have gone through the roof, I know who to blame now. Blame it on those working from home. The working from home people, they are the ones who are pricing you out of the market for detached properties. Now, how did I know this? Now, we picked up this news article from the Mortgage Strategy. So, Halifax Halifax Property Index report suggests that working from home, that detached properties have increased. The price of detached properties now cost over £425,000 on average. Detached homes in the UK now cost over £425,000 on average. This was as at December 2021. So this increase represents about 17% increase. They measured this from the pandemic, from March 2020. So between March 2020 and December 2021, that was when this data was gathered. So on average, a detached home in the UK now costs over £425,000, which represents more than 17% increase in that time. Now, this is nearly twice the rate of increase in prices of flats in the UK. I mean, prices of flats in the UK have gone up by about 9%. But an average detached house have gone up by 17%, or have added £60,000 extra between March 2020 and December 2021. 60 odd K. Yeah, it's going to cost you extra on average to buy a detached home between March 2020 and December 2021. So now, for flat owners, if you own a flat, the average price of a flat has increased by about £13,000 in the same time. So look at that margin. £13,000 increase, £60,000 increase for detached home. So if you are looking to transition, maybe if you own a flat and you're looking to transition from owning a flat to moving into a typical terraced property, how much extra would that cost you? Now, within this period in question, March 2020 and December 2021, it's going to cost an average flat owner an average £54,000 extra to upgrade from living in a flat to living in a typical terraced property in the UK. 54K. That's what it's going to cost you extra to transition from living in a flat to a typical terrace property in the UK. Now, if you're moving from a semi-detached property and you want to move onto a detached property, it will cost you now, on average, £145,000 extra, as against £121,000 in March 2020. Flats, £54,000 extra, as against £40,000 extra in March 2020. I mean, it's insane what the pandemic has done to house prices here in the UK. So detached properties now are in so high demand that in Wales and Northwest, it's gone up by as much as 24.4% in Wales, and it's gone up by 21% in the Northwest. By the way, this is the second time we're mentioning Wales as being top of the league. You know, in today's, we have looked at rental prices and rental yields in Wales. The last report we said here, Wales was on the top. Now, detached houses, Wales again on the top of the league. So what is it about Wales that is attracting people to Wales? Well, according to this Halifax report, you know, the beautiful countryside of Wales and the generally low price property in Wales is really driving people down to Wales, and because people no longer care about traveling, because it's now more flexible to work. Employers are making it easier for employees to work from home. So the flexible working conditions have really encouraged people, you know, to travel as far as they want to travel and work from wherever they are. So the flexible working conditions is one of the major drivers of, you know, these detached houses going off the shelves, flying off the shelves, you know, in double quick match. So what we are saying here is, if you are looking for somebody to blame for not being able to buy the detached property you are looking to buy, blame it on those working from home, because they are the ones who are looking for offices at home. They are the ones who want offices to be in their garden, and they are looking for, you know, garden spaces as well, and bigger spaces, bigger rooms, and more spaces, so that it can accommodate both working and their living styles. So it's unbelievable, you know, what has happened in the property industry since the pandemic, and we are officially in a property boom. There is no doubt about it, and everybody's coming to terms with that. We're in a property boom. The property boom favors mostly the sellers as well, and property prices rising, and homeowners are getting wealthier because their properties are increasing in value. But for those who are looking to buy, it's not so good a news, because it then means that by the time you save up for the deposit, the house price would have moved again, and you start saving again. It's getting increasingly difficult, especially for first-time buyers. But hey, it is what it is. So thank you very much for being here today, and thank you very much for being part of today's episode, and I hope this has been useful to you, and I hope to see you guys again next week, same time, same channel, same platform next week. I'll see you on Monday on our Modesty's Money Masterclass, and I'll see you next week Wednesday again on our Modesty's Property Corner. God bless you, thank you, and goodbye. Hmm.